The history of running. So, begin with humankind's beginning. Why would they run? Well, because they honestly had no other choice. They were going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger if they didn't get away fast enough. So there was just no choice in the matter. You were going to run. So all of you young students and other people, however old you are, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm dying going up a flight of stairs. You wouldn't make it back then. I hate to break it to you. That saber-toothed tiger, man, it'd be chomping on some prime rib. As mankind kind of continued on, they found it pretty useful to be able to get away from other animals, and they found it useful that, hey, when I'm hunting, I can run and chase things down, because guess what? Humans are the greatest endurance athletes. Let me rephrase that. The greatest endurance animals in the whole world. Nothing will beat a human that is well trained, not even a horse. So that's pretty incredible, the ability that you have. And so science will kind of argue, is this something that we were born for, like just kind of developed over time, or got better and better, and it was just because of how things were in the beginning. Today, though, we kind of see running as, you're driving down the street, or if you're a high school student, you see that weird group of kids with the really short shorts. Now they have really crazy looking shorts, my goodness, with all these printings on them and whatnot. So you see those individuals and think, what a bunch of loonies, and they're doing it just for fun. Obviously, it didn't start out as a leisurely sport. It took a long time to develop that way. In fact, we didn't get really any kind of running competitively until the Greeks in 724 BC and the first Olympics, and that's where our first race took place. And then more Greek history. We have the story that everybody's heard that was the start of the marathon, as we would say, of, and I will always butcher his name, Pheidippides, and his run took a message from Marathon to Athens, which ended up being a distance of 25 miles. And in the legend, he delivers that message, just hands it off, and keels over dead of exhaustion. Whether or not the ending part is true, it's legend and we all know it. And we kind of accept it now as it takes another, 2,000 years until 1896. We get to the modern Olympics. And due to some people really working hard, one of the first events is the marathon. They include the marathon, and the first winner ends up being a Greek guy, Spyridon, apparently a water carrier. So then you move forward, 1897, you get the advent of the Boston Marathon. Pretty incredible. Continues on today. After the 1900s kind of begin, we continue to get, running becomes a little more popular each year. More and more marathons are getting run, more and more races. Women were not included from the beginning, and it took until 1984 for the first woman to compete in the Olympics in the marathon. Ended up winning that race was a woman from the United States, Joanne Benoit. So this is just a little bit of the history there, and then you've got things that have taken place on the track. That's obviously the more popular. Usain Bolt, everybody's a sprinter, right? They all are born and everybody thinks there's a sprinter. So you're not all sprinters, you're all distance runners, you just don't know it yet. My favorite story of one of the old-timey runners from the 1950s. That's kind of what I consider the old era of running, before science really got in there. And this is the time when they still thought that it wasn't possible to break the 4-minute barrier. Obviously, Roger Bannister proved that to be incorrect, but my favorite story is Emil Zatopek. He's crazy, absolutely crazy. I don't know where he came up with his training, but it was insane. He was a 10,000 meter runner, which is your 10K. And in the Olympics, he ran that, and then he knew he was going to run the 5,000. He didn't think he had a strong enough kick to finish out 5,000. And so to train to have a better kick, he thought it was a great idea to go over to the track, and he was going to do 100 400-meter repeats, which I'm waiting. You can do the math. 400 meters is a quarter of a mile. 4 laps is a mile. Figure that into 100 of those. He did 25 miles worth of 400-meter repeats. Absolutely crazy. Just insane. So he goes on, he wins the 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters, and then he says, you know what, I'll just try out the marathon, see how that is. He has no idea what he's doing in the marathon, how he's going to pace it, or anything like that. So he's running with the guy who's the world record holder at the time. He's, just run with this guy and just kind of hang on as long as I can. He hung on for quite a while and ended up ultimately dropping the world record holder and going on to win the marathon as well. So Emil Zatopek, crazy, went into this new age of carbon fiber shoes and all the science in there, the nutrition, everything. Back then it was, nope, we're going to go and do 100 repeats of 400 meters. Now we've got incredible people, Usain Bolt, these last Olympics, Karsten Warholm, Sydney McLaughlin, all of them kind of doing just incredible things. And there's obviously more to come. So now I know everybody still thinks that they're a sprinter, but if we kind of look back at the history and look at humans in general, you're all distance runners, you just don't know it. And I'll keep saying that, but it kind of started out with us, being able to not get eaten, and then figuring out that it helps us get food, and then it becomes something that's really enjoyable and something that really kind of sets running apart from all other sports. Well, there's a couple of things. Firstly is that when you graduate high school or college or whatever, if you're a football player or a basketball player or a swimmer or a soccer player, you're not going to be able to compete at the same kind of level. Even in rec leagues and things like that, it's just not ever going to be the same. Running isn't that way. You can go run like Boston Marathon or the London Marathon or something crazy that is just an incredible experience. Or you can get into ultra marathons, and we won't think that you're too crazy, but just a little bit. It's also, it doesn't matter, how rich or poor you are. Running is kind of that great equalizer. Everybody from me to you to Eliud Kipchoge, we feel the same thing running a marathon. It sucks for everybody, and it kind of sucks equally. And so that's kind of the neat thing about running, is no matter where you finish, you're having the same experience as everybody else. And it's kind of one of those things that creates that bond of community. And that's a real great aspect of it. Also, if you're a high school student and your grades suck, I guarantee your grades will go up if you started running cross country. From my own experience and many others' experiences. It's just how it works. Not entirely sure why. I'm not a scientist, but that is the most factual information that you will find on the internet, is that if you start running, your grades will go up. Everything else on the internet, I don't know, but I have no sources for that other than it's the truth. It really is. And this has been an uncomfortable 10 minutes of talking about running and nonsense. And I'm glad that you've stuck with it this long. And I'm just going to try and edit this with a bunch of good videos and things that cover up the buffoonery of myself. Thank you.